The United Nations was founded on October 24, 1945, in the aftermath of World War II. The primary goal of the United Nations is to promote peace and international cooperation. The UN aims to prevent conflict through diplomacy, peacekeeping operations, and humanitarian aid. Key figures in the UN's formation had connections to influential organizations. Franklin D. Roosevelt was one of the key figures involved in the UN's formation. Winston Churchill also played a significant role in the establishment of the United Nations. Organizations such as the Council on Foreign Relations were influential during the UN's formation. Freemasonry also had connections to key individuals involved in the UN's establishment. The UN flag displays a world map encircled by olive branches. Some interpret the UN flag's design as a symbol of global unity under a single authority. This interpretation aligns with common themes found in New World Order theories. The UN Meditation Room features a large black stone altar as its central element. A mural within the UN Meditation Room is interpreted by some as incorporating occult geometry. Esoteric symbolism is suggested by some observers to be present within the UN Meditation Room's mural. Some theories suggest the UN is a tool for global elites to establish a one-world government. Agenda 21, 2030 is cited as a plan for global population control, disguised as sustainable development. These theories propose that sustainable development is a guise for global population control. The World Health Organization's role in pandemic response is perceived by some as a test case for global medical governance. This perspective suggests a potential shift towards centralized control in international healthcare crises. The extent of the WHO's authority during global health emergencies remains a subject of debate. The deployment of UN troops and peacekeepers is perceived by some as a precursor to a global policing force. This perspective suggests a transition from national sovereignty to international governance in matters of security. The establishment of an international policing force implies a centralized authority capable of enforcing global regulations. Many of the United Nations founders were affiliated with prominent think tanks. Think tank affiliation, in itself, does not inherently imply conspiratorial activity. It is important to distinguish between legitimate research and conspiratorial narratives. Agenda 2030 is a voluntary initiative focused on sustainable development. The initiative is public, meaning its goals and progress are transparently accessible. Agenda 2030 is designed to promote sustainability, not to exert global control. Failures in UN peacekeeping missions are often attributed to bureaucracy and geopolitical factors. Bureaucratic inefficiencies can hinder the effectiveness and speed of peacekeeping operations. Geopolitical tensions among member states frequently undermine the unity and resolve required for successful peacekeeping. The United Nations faces challenges regarding accountability and transparency in its operations. Powerful nations can exert disproportionate influence within the UN system. There is no definitive evidence to support claims of the UN being controlled by a hidden cabal. Conspiracy theories frequently arise from a foundation of mistrust in globalism. Fear of losing national identity is a significant driver behind the acceptance of conspiracy theories. Mistrust and fear, rather than concrete evidence, often fuel the spread of conspiracy theories. Global organizations can inadvertently create power imbalances between member states. These power imbalances can lead to suspicion and distrust among nations. Unequal access to resources and decision-making processes within global organizations contributes to these imbalances. Transparency and equitable representation are crucial to mitigating power imbalances and fostering trust. International politics involves intricate relationships and power dynamics between nations. The inherent ambiguity in international relations can lead to speculation and the formation of conspiracy theories. Information asymmetry and lack of transparency contribute to the proliferation of speculative narratives. Understanding the core principles of international politics is crucial for discerning fact from fiction. During crises, individuals often seek straightforward solutions to intricate issues. The desire for simple answers during crises can contribute to the propagation of conspiracy theories. Crises often create an environment where complex realities are oversimplified. Fascination with secrets can increase susceptibility to conspiracy theories. Belief in elite control amplifies the appeal and spread of conspiracy theories. The allure of uncovering hidden truths drives the acceptance and propagation of conspiracy theories. Power dynamics often operate subtly, even in plain sight within global institutions. Institutional power can be exerted through established protocols and decision-making processes. Access to information and control over its dissemination are key elements of institutional power. Power within global institutions is often distributed unevenly, creating disparities in influence and impact. Accountability in global institutions hinges on the degree of power held by individuals. The extent of individual power determines the level of accountability within global institutions. Effective accountability requires individuals to possess substantial power to influence global institutions. The UN system comprises the General Assembly, Security Council, and Secretariat. Each component of the UN system has distinct roles and responsibilities. The General Assembly serves as the main deliberative, policy-making, and representative organ of the United Nations. The Security Council has the primary responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security. The Secretariat carries out the substantive and administrative work of the United Nations as directed by the General Assembly, the Security Council, and the other organs. The General Assembly provides a platform for all member states to engage in discussions. Member states utilize the General Assembly to vote on resolutions. The General Assembly serves as a primary forum for multilateral diplomacy and international cooperation. The Security Council's primary responsibility is maintaining international peace and security. The Security Council consists of 5 permanent members, each possessing veto power. Veto power allows permanent members to unilaterally block any resolution. The Secretariat executes the daily operations of the United Nations. The Secretary General leads the Secretariat. The Secretariat's functions include research, information dissemination, translation, and conference organization. The UN Charter establishes the foundational principles and objectives of the United Nations. Sovereign equality is a core tenet, ensuring all member states have equal rights and respect. The UN Charter promotes peaceful dispute resolution through negotiation, mediation, and other diplomatic means. The United Nations actively participates in the development of international law. International law is codified through the creation and adoption of treaties and conventions. Treaties and conventions serve as the primary mechanisms for establishing international legal norms. The United Nations champions human rights through diverse mechanisms. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights serves as a foundational document. These mechanisms aim to promote and protect fundamental human rights worldwide. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are a set of global goals adopted by the UN. The SDGs address critical global challenges, including poverty, inequality, and environmental sustainability. These goals provide a comprehensive framework for global development efforts. The United Nations, UN, delivers humanitarian aid to populations impacted by conflicts, natural disasters, and other crises. Humanitarian assistance includes providing food, shelter, medical care, and other essential services to those in need. The UN coordinates international efforts to ensure aid reaches those who need it most effectively and efficiently. UN humanitarian aid aims to alleviate suffering, protect human dignity, and promote resilience in crisis-affected communities. United Nations peacekeeping operations deploy military personnel and observers to conflict zones. The primary objective of UN peacekeeping is to maintain peace and security in areas of conflict. Peacekeepers monitor ceasefires, prevent escalation, and support political processes. These operations often include civilian components focused on humanitarian aid and development. The United Nations facilitates diplomatic negotiations between countries. Diplomatic negotiations aim to resolve international disputes peacefully. The UN provides a neutral platform for countries to discuss and mediate conflicts. Successful diplomatic negotiations can prevent escalations and promote global stability. The United Nations actively promotes global health through various initiatives. The World Health Organization, WHO, is a key agency within the UN focused on international health, who coordinates global efforts to combat diseases, improve healthcare systems, and promote overall well-being. The United Nations advocates for global environmental protection through international treaties and collaborative initiatives. The Paris Agreement is a landmark international accord aimed at combating climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. These efforts promote sustainable development and aim to preserve natural resources for future generations. The United Nations supports economic development in developing countries. UN support is provided through various programs and initiatives. These programs aim to foster sustainable economic growth and improve living standards. The United Nations actively works to preserve cultural heritage around the world. UNESCO, as part of the UN, plays a key role in identifying and protecting cultural and natural heritage. Preservation efforts include restoring historical sites, protecting endangered languages, and safeguarding traditional arts. These efforts ensure that future generations can appreciate and learn from the world's diverse cultural heritage. The United Nations actively promotes global education through various initiatives. One key UN initiative is the Education for All program. These initiatives aim to improve educational access and quality worldwide. The United Nations actively promotes gender equality worldwide. UN Women is a key UN entity dedicated to gender equality and the empowerment of women. UN initiatives aim to eliminate discrimination and promote equal opportunities for women and girls. The UN addresses global food security challenges through specialized organizations. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, is a key UN agency dedicated to improving food security worldwide. FAO initiatives focus on enhancing agricultural productivity, improving nutrition, and managing natural resources sustainably. The UN advocates for sustainable water management through diverse programs and initiatives. These programs aim to ensure equitable access to clean water resources for all communities. Sustainable water management practices protect ecosystems and promote long-term environmental health. The UN's initiatives foster international cooperation in addressing global water challenges. The United Nations actively mitigates climate change through international treaties and initiatives. The Paris Agreement is a key international treaty facilitated by the UN to address climate change. UN initiatives promote sustainable development and reduce greenhouse gas emissions globally. The United Nations provides disaster relief to countries affected by natural disasters. Disaster relief includes providing emergency supplies, medical assistance, and shelter to affected populations. The UN coordinates international efforts to ensure efficient and effective disaster response. Funding for UN disaster relief operations comes from member states and voluntary contributions. The United Nations provides aid to refugees through specialized organizations. UNHCR is a key organization providing protection and assistance to refugees worldwide. Assistance includes providing shelter, food, medical care, and legal aid to refugees. The United Nations coordinates international efforts to counter terrorism. Counter-terrorism efforts include preventing violent extremism and combating terrorist financing. The UN fosters collaboration between member states to implement counterterrorism strategies. The United Nations promotes nuclear disarmament through various international treaties and initiatives. These efforts aim to reduce and ultimately eliminate nuclear weapons stockpiles worldwide. Key initiatives include the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CTBT. Verification mechanisms are essential to ensure compliance with disarmament agreements. The United Nations addresses cybersecurity issues through various international forums. These initiatives aim to promote international cooperation in combating cybercrime and protecting critical infrastructure. The UN's efforts include developing norms of responsible state behavior in cyberspace and providing capacity-building assistance to member states. Capacity-building programs enhance member states' abilities to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber threats effectively. The United Nations addresses outer space affairs. The Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, COPUOS, is the primary forum for this. COPUOS promotes international cooperation in the peaceful exploration and use of outer space. The committee works to develop international space law and ensure equitable access to space resources. The United Nations supports international criminal justice through the International Criminal Court, ICC. The ICC is an independent international court that investigates and prosecutes individuals for genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of aggression. The ICC is intended to complement national justice systems. It can only act when national courts are unwilling or unable to genuinely investigate and prosecute such crimes. The United Nations faces challenges related to national sovereignty. Accountability represents another significant challenge for the UN. Representation within the UN system presents ongoing difficulties. Reform efforts are being implemented to enhance the United Nations' effectiveness. Reforms aim to bolster the United Nations' legitimacy on the global stage. Improving operational efficiency is a key component of the UN reform agenda. Increased transparency and accountability are essential goals of the UN reform process. The United Nations serves as a central platform for multilateralism and international cooperation. Multilateralism promotes peaceful resolution of global issues through collaborative dialogue and negotiation. International cooperation through the UN addresses shared challenges such as climate change, poverty, and disease. The UN facilitates the development and enforcement of international laws and norms to maintain global order. The United Nations' future hinges on its capacity to adapt to evolving global challenges. Adaptation requires reforms in governance, resource allocation, and operational strategies. Effective multilateralism is crucial for addressing complex, interconnected global issues. Citizen engagement is crucial for holding the UN accountable. Effective citizen engagement ensures the UN's operational effectiveness. Accountability and effectiveness are enhanced through citizen participation.